as a diminutive. So when we see it in words like this, we have the word to write, and then we have this LE at the end to make it smaller. It's a diminutive. So this is not a major writing. This is not writing a book. A scribble is just a little act of writing. Okay? Now, one of our problems is this does come in from different places. It's not always exactly the same, but it's a good place to start. So we have all of these different words which are all related to writing, right? We have all of these prefixes that are very closely related to prepositions. It's the same core meaning. To, under, before, right? We have all of these ideas, and therefore, most of the time, we can just change one part or change the other part and make a whole new word. So, the scribe thing is one part. We do, of course, have a whole other language to work with here. Because English, we have the Latin background, and we also have the Greek. So what's the word for writing in Greek? You know this one. What's the study of life?
Study of life?
The study of life, the study of living things. If we study animals and plants, what is that?
Ecology?
Almost. More about life. Ecology is about housekeeping in nature, actually. But there's chemistry, which is the study of chemical reactions. And what else do we have? When we study life, how animals get together, how plants work, how your biology, exactly. So, this is the study of life. It's words about life. What's a story about somebody's life?
In the ecology system.
That comes from the word for house. I can come back to that one in a moment. What's a story about a person's life? When you want a job, you have to write a story about your own life.
Autobiography.
There you go. So, what's the Greek word for write?
Graph means paint or write.
Mark onto a surface, which is not always about words, but the
means mark on the surface. Oh, okay, mark on the surface. Probably it's letter. Probably it's words. Probably it's painting.
It has to do with both. We use it for both.
Oh, okay.
Because a biography is a story, which is not a painting, it's words. But then we also have a graph. What's a graph?
Picture.
It's a picture of information, right? So when we have a graph, we can show information in a picture form. All right. So then we take this word graph, and we can do a lot with that one as well. What do you call the stuff that's in your pencil? When you write with a pencil, what's the stuff inside your pencil?
Cartridge?
The material itself,
笔芯.
carbon, but in this form, carbon can come in different forms. In this form, it's flat sheets. It's like sheets of paper, right? So that's why it works great for writing, because of the way it comes off. If it's a diamond, it's one hard piece, right? If it's coal, it's all separate. So graphite. Okay. So we have here to write, a graph, something that's written. We have the material to write with. Biography is a story about a person's life. All right? What if something is extremely descriptive? If somebody does a really good job telling a story, he tells it so well that it's like you see a picture. Or too much information. You know, like when they give you a warning about a movie or something you see online.
Graphic.
Graphic. If something is graphic,
太写实了 graphic.
like graphic violence.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or, we also use it in a very basic meaning, graphic design. Right?
Oh, graphic design. Okay.
So, and this one is actually fun because we have a Greek word here and a Latin word here. In English, we tend to do that a lot. It's not the best form to have both languages in one word, but the problem is, you guys remember Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, he was one of the worst things for English. If you're an English student, then Shakespeare is the person to hate, because it's his fault that we started taking all of the English background words and all of the foreign words, and we put them together, and he made new words. He took Latin and Greek parts and put, it's all his fault.
Oh.
All right? So.
Can we say he's a genius?
Oh yeah, he was brilliant. But if you're a language student, if you hate learning English, hate Shakespeare, because it's, you know, he's the one who did it.
Oh.
All right?
Oh.
And then we had, because of him, other people following that pattern. And then the language spread around the world because England got rich, and you know, the rest of the story you know, right? So, if you can find the parts here, then you can do an awful lot with English vocabulary. And again, it's never about being 100% right or knowing every word. The key is that if you get stuck, if there's a word that you don't know, you can try to work with it. It's like with the subway system, the MRT, right? If one of the train lines is broken down, you can find a way around it. The more complicated your system of vocabulary is, the better you can get by. It's not about how many words you know, it's how many relationships there are between the words. That's what really matters. Okay? So, seeing as we're talking about this, we mentioned ecology.
Right. So what's the difference between ecology and biology?
Well, that's a good question. And again, the answer, the easiest way to deal with the answer is to go back to what those words mean.
Ah.
That, the root there has to do with a house or a household. So that's where we get economy. Economy and ecology otherwise have no relationship. This one has to do with naming things. Naming and counting. So we get, what do we call it when we name the stars? You look up at the sky and you say, that star is called Bob and that star is called Bill, and what do we call that?
Astrology?
Almost. There's naming the stars, and then there's studying the stars so you know what the weather will be like tomorrow. Or studying the stars so you know what job you should take.
I forgot that term.
There's astrology, which is the study of the stars, believing that they can tell you something. And if you just want to name the stars,
Astronomy.
yeah.
Oh.
Astronomy is about naming them. Okay, it's measuring and putting them into groups and all of that, but it's not studying them so that you can learn about your own future. That's astrology, right? Astronomy is naming them, Bob and Bill, and you know, and then this is one happy family, and you know, and these go that way. That's astronomy. So when we do economy, it's about naming, organizing the affairs of your house. So it comes into money because the person who organizes your household has to evaluate, money coming in, money going out. How much food do we use? How many people are there, right? How many taxes do we pay? But then if you want to study
ecology,
the idea of a household working together, the relationships between different members, then we get ecology. So biology is the study of life, okay? It's the study of how a tree works, how it gets water. The study of how an animal's blood circulates. That's biology. Ecology is the relationship between that animal and that tree. Where does the animal live? What is his family like? That's ecology. Okay? So it all makes sense, but you need to go into where the words come from. Okay?
Fantastic.
So, is that okay for you girls too? Because I notice you're 听得懂吗？还是太快？还是有点无聊？还是什么？太快吗？ Okay. Do you understand the ideas here? There's the parts of the words that we put together. It's the same way that you do things in Chinese. When you talk about, say, a school, 国小, right? There's a reason why you use the word 国. 为什么国小有那个字国?有国中，有国小，有 how do you say high school?
高中
okay. So 高中因为国中, right?
Right.
So you have a middle school and then you have a high school, which is good. But otherwise, if I'm learning Chinese, 高中 I can understand the 高 part.
Right.
中为什么是中?
中学 means
But you see, you don't say 国中学 or 高中学, right? So if you know where the word comes from, then it can make sense. 为什么国小?
国民小学 国民小学 means a citizen elementary school.
Exactly. 国民. You have that relationship there. There's a root word.
Right.
And you take that to make these other words.
Right.
This is the same idea.
Right. Oh my God.
So we have
astronomy.
Star.
Astrology. And disaster.
Yep.
Put the star separated. That will be a disaster. That will be a big problem because the star separated.
It has to do with the signs that we're seeing in the stars. Yes. Okay. So
Wow, I didn't know that you are a word expert.
a large part of it is knowing where to look for answers. And some of this I've seen many times. I keep teaching the same ideas when it comes to words because this is a good place to start. Most people know ideas like this. They're easy to describe. But then from there it builds. There was one I learned just the other day.
Helicopter.
Yeah. So, any idea what this word has any relationship to?
COP means police.
But that's only a very recent addition to the language. What do you call those dinosaurs that could fly?
Actually, we don't know.
It's a harder word because, of course, it's Greek.
Wow, it is a too difficult word for us. This
Right.
is the first time I see this word.
If you go to one of those nature stores or any place like a museum where they show you stuff about dinosaurs, all of the ones that can fly, they have this in their name. pterodactyl or pterosaur or something like that. This part